Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. We're going to talk about reading today. And I want you to read more in 2026. Drinking out of my book mug. I have a picture up here. These are the 148 books that I read and listened to in 2025. I was going to get 150. However, I went on that trip, and I'll be honest, I did not read for those 9 days. I read on the 10th day coming back because I had my Kindle with me and I have my phone. I can read on the phone. But I actually didn't read the entire trip until coming back, and I was on an airplane that didn't have a TV. So I read my Kindle. I was just too busy. The other flights, I watched some shows, took naps. When we were down in Florida, just really quick mornings to get out of the hotel, at the parks, just too much going on. Back at the hotel, just too tired, brush your teeth and go to bed. So I didn't read for those 9 days. That 10th day, I read a little bit coming home. So I didn't make the 150. However, my goal for every year is 101. So I've surpassed the goal by quite a bit by reading 148. Now, how can you do this? Everybody thinks it's so amazing. No, it's not. Anybody could do this. Now, years and years ago, I heard Jim Rohn say, if you're not reading 2 books a week, in 10 years, you're going to be 1,000 books behind. And I took that to heart and started saying I need to read 100 or more books a year. And it's not that difficult. Now, let's back up. I will acknowledge that I have always been an exceptional reader. And I say that because when I was in grade school and middle school and they were giving those reading comprehension tests, I was testing at 12th grade, 9th month level when I was little. I remember in 6th grade, we had a reading contest. You had to read books and write book reports and so forth on the book to prove that you read the book and so forth. And I won that competition. Not surprising that we got our daughter reading early. And when she was doing the Battle of the Books, her and her partner took first place Battle of the Books one year. Just sort of like I did when I was a kid. I've always been able to read quickly, and I've always been able to comprehend the reading. And so again, doing those tests in grade school and middle school, I was testing out at the 12th grade, 9th month level of those tests. So I admit it's easier for me. And it could be more difficult if you're challenged reading with dyslexia or something like that. I get that. However, there are so many ways to devour books these days. Not every book is paper. I read a ton of paper. I love paper, but I do read Kindle, and I listen to a lot of Audible books now. I got that huge driveway that I have to shovel. Thankfully, this year, we haven't had to shovel a whole lot yet, but when I'm out there shoveling, I'm listening. When I'm driving, I'm listening. When I'm doing mundane tasks that need to be done, I'm listening, right? So there are ways to listen to books. There are ways to read books, both paper and Kindle. You can read Kindle books on your phone. So if I'm stuck somewhere, DMV, waiting to get something, wherever you're waiting, I can do a little bit of reading just right here on the phone. If I'm not doing social media or articles, I can pull up the Kindle and read it on the phone. So a lot of ways to consume books now. You just have to want to. Now, again, I also enjoy books. I enjoy reading for education. I enjoy reading for entertainment. That's why I always have a novel going and always have other books going at the same time. If you don't enjoy reading, I suggest you start reading something that you could get into and enjoy and develop the enjoyment for reading. And then that will help you read more, and you'll experience and explore so much that is out there. So, couple keys: make it a priority. I try to make it a priority to get reading time in every day. Do things you enjoy. I read the novels that I enjoy reading. They're usually action type novels, the Brad Thor, the Lee Child, the Tom Clancy, those type of novels I enjoy more, so I do more reading of those. I'm a martial artist and self-defense instructor, so I'm always reading about martial arts, self-defense, safety, to become better at what I teach others. But then I just like to throw in different things all the time too. Sometimes they're graphic novels and comic books. I'll read those. Sometimes, it's a Garfield comic book, a collection of those. So, read those for fun as well. But that is how you will develop more and be able to enjoy more, is by picking the topics and things that you like. And you'll find there's just a ton out there. And so you can incorporate more reading, and that will help you in your personal life. It can help you in your career, and you can just enjoy more. So it's nothing remarkable that I read 100, 150 books or more a year. It's just that it's a priority of mine, and I enjoy it, and I benefit from it. And I am sure, I've said this before, that getting our daughter to read at such an early age, she won that battle of books when she was young, and she was reading at that early age, helped her not only get into Wharton and Penn, but now succeed and almost about to graduate from that Ivy League school. So reading has so many benefits, and I just encourage you to make 2026 a year that you read more. And hopefully this couple little tips can help you do such. Want to say good morning to people. Thad's here. Good morning, Thad. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Hello, Dixon. Dixon said, weren't you busy writing about the trip for a future project? I was taking photos and a few videos. I did not video as much as I wanted to, but lots of photos. And now I'm catching up and writing and making the notes for that future project. Jay's here with Vicky. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Vicky. Appreciate you guys being here. Dixon said, haha, DMV is now a new comedy TV show. I watched that DMV show, and it just the wife and I watched one episode and we just couldn't get into it. So I don't know if it'll last long. Maybe other people like it more than we did, but it wasn't one that we thought we would continue to watch. Phil's here. Phil said, when we want to do something, we will find a way. If we don't want to, we'll find excuses. Right. I think that's a Jim Rohnism. I think that is too. Jim Rohn has said things like that as well. Dixon said, I was going to say, don't forget Garfield. Yep. I throw in those little fun books too. You have to. You can't read the deep, serious stuff. Some of the stuff I read is pretty deep and dark. You can't read that all the time. You got to mix it up. Good morning from France. Thank you, Annika. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for saying hello. Phil says, wow, graduation already. Seems like only yesterday she started. I know, Phil. I can't believe that. And this vacation, this Christmas, was sort of a graduation present. We gave her that vacation as a high school graduation present. Now we gave her one as a college graduation present, because she's graduating here this spring in May. 5 months away, and she's going to graduate with a dual degree. She'll have a bachelor's from the College of Arts and Sciences and a bachelor's from Wharton Business School. And so she'll have a dual degree in May, and don't know what's next, but I'm sure it's going to be marvelous and magnificent, because she just continues to impress us. We're so proud of her. Good morning, Richard. I appreciate you being here and saying good morning. Those are some of the books that I'm showing on my mug that got me started reading as a kid. I devoured all of the Hardy Boys, and Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators and those type of books, like in first and second grade. It was a second or third grade teacher, I forget which grade, gave me Tarzan, the original, the first Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs, said, here, this is something you might like. And boom, I loved the Tarzan. So I got into the Tarzan, and then I got into the Conan and Lord of the Rings and a lot of science fiction and fantasy, and just loved all of that stuff in elementary school. Probably should not have got into the Executioner books, the Destroyer books, and some of those, but I got into those around 6th and 7th grade because my dad's second wife, I had an older stepbrother who was reading those, and so I started reading them too. So I got into the Executioner and the Destroyer and those sort of in 6th and 7th grade, which, you know, maybe a 6th grader shouldn't be reading about snuff films and the mafia and the execution, you know, that kind of stuff from the Executioner. I mean, I remember I learned about snuff films from Executioner books in grade school. Maybe not the topic you want a grade school kid to know about, but again, I was reading at such a higher level and just devouring everything I could. I was reading martial art books back then, you know, just like Karate Kid. I'm trying to learn out of the Bruce Tegner and Fred Neff books that I could get at the library and practice. And that's way back in elementary school in the 70s. Just have loved reading, and it's just continued my entire life. And it was the Jim Rohn quote I learned later. It's like, wow, he's right on point. And I even upped my reading a little bit more. You can do the same. You don't have to read 150 books a year like I do, or 100 books a year like I do. But I would encourage you to read more in 2026 than you did in 2025. Make that your goal. Read more. Pick stuff that you enjoy. Pick things you want to learn about. Listen to them. Read them. Wealth of knowledge and entertainment for you to get through books, audiobooks, Kindle books. So go out and do it. Make it a spectacular Saturday. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Talk about a little bit of sadness that's gone on in the martial art community. Going to pay tribute to a few that we've lost recently. So I will see you then. Until then, read a book. Read a little bit today. Catch you tomorrow.